Would you please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Notice Councilman Casey Jenkins. Under adjustments to the agenda, I would like to ask for a motion to add to the consent agenda, the resolution for the Vietnam Veterans Day, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Day, which is March 29, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
That is 5-0 and 1. Thank you. That will be E under the consent agenda. Speaking of which, since we have no public hearings, we have the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the February 25th, 2025 meeting, our bill list, a resolution recognizing March of 2025 as Red Cross Month, a resolution recognizing March 21st, 2025 is Down Syndrome Day, and March 15th through the 21st, 2025 as Down Syndrome Awareness Week, and the Vietnam Veterans Day, War Veterans Day, March 29, 2025.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
That's 5-0 and 1. Thank you very much. We have no introductions and presentations, so we will go into our citizens' comments. And this is different from any other comments. You have 3 minutes. And I realize there's a crowd here. I'll never want to deny anybody their right for freedom of speech. However, if what you are wanting to talk about has already been covered, let's save us a few minutes of time. Is there anyone here to address anything at all?
Steve, you want to go first? Go ahead. Oh, please, after you.
Good evening. Steve Huppert, 440 Summit Ridge Road. And I know that you are here tonight to discuss and maybe to vote on the housing development that is projected to go at the end of Summit Ridge, the 60 houses. And I wanted to make sure that all the people on council have had the opportunity to go to Summit Ridge and see what development is going to be there, because I think that would help you on your vote. And the 3 things I'm sort of looking for is, first of all, when you go up there, if you look at Summit Ridge, the road itself, and think how all that traffic is going to affect that road over that time, and if it can handle all that traffic. All right. The second thing, as you go to the end of Summit Ridge, you look out over that area where they're going to develop the 60 homes, and you wonder how much it's going to take there, how squared away, if there's going to be room for those amount of houses. We're talking about houses from $300,000 to $600,000, and just look at it and see if that is right. Now, the last point that I would like to bring out is there has been some talk in your meetings here about trying to put in another little road back there from Route 8, okay? And this is just would be a great way for the trucks and vehicles to come in and while they're building these homes. And that we're not talking about a cut through, we're just talking about a short road there that maybe would be, a half a mile in length. So I would hope you would think these 3 things. The last thing I would like to say is, if you haven't had a chance to look and you want to come back, you can stop by my house, and I'll be glad to give you a tour of the area. And, but I'm not going to give you any donuts or coffee, you know?
You have 20 seconds, Steve.
And maybe Steve will give you some coffee and donuts, but I will give you a tour, and thank you.
3 minutes, right?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the 30 minutes last time. Good evening, Town Council. I'm David Bradshaw, 475 Summit Ridge Road. During this process, we repeatedly cited the town's comprehensive plans and ordinances which champion the protection of our older established neighborhoods. I'd like to say that we've truly appreciated the time that Planning Commission and the Town Council have spent listening to us. And now we're hopeful you will weigh our concerns in your decision. Our street, though lacking sidewalks and traffic calming solutions, is a lively street where families walk and children ride their bikes. We shared our stories that illustrate a way of life common to many of the older neighborhoods in our community. We're told this project is a necessity because regionally we need affordable housing. Affordable housing is a fact of life. It will always be with us, and it will always be out of reach. It's an admirable goal to strive for, no doubt, but overriding our ordinances with a planned housing development and tossing out protections that demand a compelling reason to do it, and this isn't it. There's nothing being conceded to the town or to the residents through this planned housing development, and that's concerning. Before you base your decision on this assumption, please note that there is construction starting to boom in and around us. Take, for example, the 93 to 199 new townhomes that are getting underway in the Walnut Ridge subdivision. Walnut Ridge is county land, sure, but residents won't see a town line. What they will see are affordable homes they can move into that are now just minutes away from their jobs. I also like to point out that during these meetings, there has been a glaring silence. No one has been here as a voice for this development and its urgent need. We've shown up, vocal and steadfast, while the developer stands solo, boldly pitching his plan with no community voice backing him up or explaining why, as residents, it's essential to them personally. It is not just us filling this room during the various meetings. The public meetings tied to this development have drawn a combined 823 YouTube views. That's no fluke. It's a strong signal on how many citizens are invested in this issue. We're not against development here, but this proposal, size, and scope overwhelm us. Please re-examine and fully understand what the developer is requesting be allowed. Before you come to your own individual conclusion, go back and read the ordinances. Refresh your knowledge about R1 zoning's intent and the bare minimums for lot size, setbacks, frontages, and yard specifications. Imagine a justice scale.
You have about 20 seconds, Dave.
Okay, imagine a justice scale. On one side, town ordinances, comprehensive plan, and mountains of citizens' concern heavily weighing. On the other hand, flimsy conditional use permit drops in and somehow tips everything toward approving this development. That's not balanced, it's not fair, and it certainly does not make practical sense, let alone common sense. The
Thank you.
imbalance is striking, and the
Thank
optics
you.
are not good.
Your time is
Please
up.
vote no.
Anyone else?
March 11, 2025, David B. Hutchison, 955 Collins Street, Christiansburg, Virginia, 24073. I would like to address no tree code or ordinance for the town of Christiansburg, Virginia citizens. There appears to be no tree code or ordinance for property owners in the town of Christiansburg, Virginia. We're the only county in Virginia that does not have a tree code or ordinance in place to protect the lives and/or the property of town citizens. Due to the neglect of proper tree maintenance of neighbors adjacent to Christiansburg property owners, damage is frequently incurred due to no tree code or ordinance in place to protect the lives, property, or interest of the town of Christiansburg tax-paying citizens. As a taxpayer, I'm also representing the interests of the town residents of Christiansburg, Virginia. I'm requesting the elected, authoritative body of the town of Christiansburg, Virginia to put in place and enforce a tree code or ordinance to protect the lives and property of the town citizens of Christiansburg, Virginia. It only takes a few minutes to do a town, government, or Google website search to see that we are the only county in Virginia that does not have a tree code or ordinance in place to protect the tax-paying citizens of the town of Christiansburg, Virginia. Due to having no code in place, there's property damage that is incurred by the citizens of the town of Christiansburg property owners due to neglect of proper tree removal and/or proper tree maintenance by neighbors who refuse to maintain their trees. This is a real threat to life and property of Christiansburg property-owning citizens. It also causes hardworking citizens to have to spend money to replace damaged property already paid for due to the neglect of tree owners who refuse to maintain proper tree care and/or removal of dead and dangerous trees in the town of Christiansburg. As a citizen of Christiansburg, Virginia, and a taxpayer representative, I request the implementation of a tree ordinance to protect lives and property. We, the citizens of Christiansburg, Virginia, request the elected officials to establish and enforce a tree ordinance to protect our lives and property. Without your help in placing and enforcing a tree code ordinance, we as citizens have no protection or recourse against endangered lives and/or property. The Hutchison family have been citizens of Christiansburg, Virginia since the early 1800s. I'm a licensed minister and have been a nurse serving the community as a Christiansburg citizen since 1997. Over the past 15 years, I've incurred expenses exceeding $5,000 to repair and replace gutters, a deck, a fence, a shed, all due to the neglect of trees by the neighbor at 945 Collins Street, Christiansburg, Virginia. Over the past 15 years, I've informed the owners of 945 property 4 times about multiple dead pine trees
You have about 20 seconds.
and a top-heavy pine tree. These trees are the ones that have caused the damage. The property owners have not fulfilled their commitments regarding the maintenance of the trees on the 945 Collins Street neighboring property. The owners refuse to maintain a mulberry tree encroaching on personal property
Thank you.
that will soon damage the
Time's up.
shed. Thank you sincerely, David B.
Thank you.
Hutchison.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Audrey. I live at 240 Baldwin Lane, Christiansburg, Virginia, with my mom, dad, brother, and my brother Ethan. I like my neighborhood because it's safe to scooter ride, bike ride, and roller skate. I go to my neighbor's house. I also like that there is a park right across from us and that the neighborhood isn't very busy and that I can play outside with Ethan. If you build 60 houses, it wouldn't be as safe to roller skate, bike ride, scooter ride, and go to my neighbor's house. Not only that, but the calmness would be taken away from me with all approximately 120 extra cars. Please don't build 60 houses. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you for the time and effort you put into our community. I appreciate what you do. I also appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Emily Meadows. My husband and I, as well as our 2 children, Audrey and Ethan, have lived at 240 Baldwin Lane in Christiansburg since 2016. Our family regularly walks the Kingston Court and Summit Ridge roads. We also routinely walk to the park, which is almost directly across from our house. I love the peacefulness of our neighborhood and ask that you please limit the number of houses being added to 30 instead of 60 that is proposed. Please do this for the safety of all current and future residents, as well as to preserve the atmosphere we all currently love for those who will be living in the new area. Thank you.
Don Peters, 455 Summit Ridge Road. Thank you for hearing us tonight. We all settled in this neighborhood for its calm, safe, and stable environment. From the neighbors' presentations and comments during Planning Commission and Town Council hearings, we learned the comprehensive plan reinforces these qualities by protecting existing neighborhoods. The town ordinances back this with standards for compatibility and moderately low density. Yet this particular conditional use permit undermines that commitment, permitting a development with 60 units on small, thin lots to join and flow through our neighborhood. This excessive density brings heavy traffic to streets that are meant for tranquility and not congestion. We support development. Growth can benefit us, but our zoning ordinances and comprehensive plan prioritize low density to match our character, and they also require compatibility with surrounding areas. The conditional use permit dismisses those safeguards by introducing 60 units that don't fit. That clash erodes trust in the above rules, driving residents away, lowering property values as our homes lose their distinct appeal. The comprehensive plan ordinances aren't suggestions. They're our shield against a development with density such as proposed here. This proposed development fails their test of moderation. We ask you to please reject the conditional use permit on density alone. Please hold the line and keep our R1 promise intact. Protect what we value for today and the future. Please vote no on the conditional use permit as it stands. That sends the developer a clear message to reconsider, perhaps offering a plan with reasonable density and lots that match our surroundings. Thank you very much for listening.
Jimmy?
Don covered all my points, so I'll let you pass.
Joshua Bryan, 225 Summit Ridge Road. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I think I might want to push back against you a little bit, Mr. Mayor. It's a very important issue for us, and I think if anybody has anything to say, if it's been said 100 times, I encourage everybody to come up here and speak out. I've read the emails, 800-plus YouTube views, 300-plus petition signatures. It's pretty clear where our citizens stand, and I ask you guys to support us in our decision and hopefully reduce density. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joelle Vest. I live at 360 Summit Ridge Road. I'm the mother of 3 children and share many of my neighbors' concerns regarding the proposed development. I'd like to address specifically the lack of yards and green space in the proposed development. We are blessed to own a home on a beautiful half-acre lot. With 2 children who are not yet school-aged, having a yard is invaluable. They have plenty of space to play and explore, which is so vital for healthy growth and development. It gives us space to have a garden where we grow a large portion of our family's food, with plenty left over to share with our community. It also enables us to host playdates and cookouts, which would be difficult to do in our modestly sized homes. Our yard is by far the most vital part of our home. Many others share the same opinion. In an online poll conducted in 2022, 76% of Americans said that the family yard space is one of the most important parts of their home. 72% said a spacious yard would be at the top of their wish list if they were looking for a new home. A separate survey conducted in 2024 found that 66% of Americans wanted a yard larger than a half acre. Additionally, numerous studies have found that yard size is directly related to a child's physical activity, with larger yards increasing the level of childhood physical activity. The proposed development of 60 homes on 17 acres leaves very little, if any, space for yards and other green space. This impacts the character of our current neighborhood and also affects the quality of life for the future residents of said development. Please consider limiting the number of homes to 30 or less. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Patty Hall at 435 Summit Ridge. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the council members. Thank you for listening to us. I stand firmly against the proposed development. As proposed, excluding the designated stormwater ponds, it encompasses 60 lots where more than half of the lots are under a quarter-acre minimum. The R1 minimum lot size of 0.25 acres offers a natural way to reduce unit density. Data from similar subdivisions supports this. Reserve at Round Meadow lots start at 0.222 acres, and all are valued at $55,000. Lionsgate Planned Community offers 0.254 acre lots at $48,000. Reagan's Point holds all lots at 0.25 acres and has a land value set at $45,000. These show that quarter-acre lots, paired with ordinance yard size requirements, keep land value accessible for buyers. In this proposal, more than half of the lots are under a quarter-acre minimum, with only 60-foot road frontages, far too cramped for R1 zoning, cramming in excessive units. This misalignment risks overburdening the street and utilities of the neighborhood. The comprehensive plan clearly encourages growth that respects local character, and our ordinance provide a framework to ensure that. From presentations and public input, we've seen that these documents and laws align with our neighborhood and offer protections against such unit density as proposed. Please consider our perspective. Reject this development's conditional use permit and let the developer reconsider an alternative that better matches the existing neighborhood.
20 seconds.
I am submitting an addendum to the petition I turned in 2 weeks ago. We have now a total of 311 signatures. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's right, it feels like church. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Vest, and I live at 360 Summit Ridge Road. While I echo all my neighbors' concerns regarding traffic and safety issues with the proposed development, I would like to bring up a different issue. Repeatedly through these discussions, we have heard the proposed housing development is a great way to bring desperately needed affordable housing to Christiansburg. However, this housing is simply not affordable for the majority. According to 2023 census data, the median household income in Christiansburg is $75,451. According to the Freddie Mac Housing Affordability Calculator, a household with that income, 0 monthly debts, and a $30,000 down payment can afford a house with a maximum value of $242,000. If you factor in the fact that most households have some level of monthly debt, and many do not have that amount of money for the down payment the number quickly drops. The developer has stated that the houses in the proposed development would be priced in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. This range far exceeds what is affordable for the average family in Christiansburg. We've also heard many times that these homes would make great starter homes for young families. However, the average income for a first-time home buyer in the New River Valley is only $38,000. The average cost of a starter home nationwide is $196,611. I've worked as a police officer for 16 years and have significant equity in my current home. Yet, once you take into account the current high interest rates, it would be a stretch for my family to afford the $300,000 to $400,000 home, which would be on the lower end of the range given by the developer. Not only that, these homes with their vastly smaller lots will be a downgrade from my current home. With all this under consideration, I would like to ask the questions. If these homes are not providing affordable housing that is so needed in the New River Valley, why would we sacrifice the quality and character of our current and future neighborhoods by allowing such density to be developed? Please consider limiting the total number of houses built to 30 or less, and help us preserve the character of our current neighborhood and the quality of life for our future residents. Thank you.
Took a while. I'm Keith Kidd. I live at 480 Summit Ridge. Good evening, Town Council. My wife and I have lived in our neighborhood for 34 years, and we've raised our family there. Our neighborhood pulses with unique charm, spacious lots, serene streets, a distinct essence, safeguarded by R1 zoning and the comprehensive plan's dedication to existing neighborhoods. Town ordinances bolster this with compatibility and moderately low-density rules. It's a neighborhood where you don't worry about your grandchildren getting out of the street or on their bikes or walking your dog. Yet this conditional use permit swaps that charm for a regional, affordable housing push, cramming 60 units onto narrow lots that flood our streets with traffic, stripping away the safety we cherish. Please reject the conditional use permit for its density and the negative impact that will inevitably have on the value of the homes in the neighborhood. Once approved, this change is irreversible. Please vote no on the conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Barbara Stepp, and I live at 765 Holly Drive. Our R1 zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan protect existing neighborhoods. That's why we're here. The conditional use permit weakens that protection by letting a higher density development join in and flow through an older neighborhood. R1 stands for moderately low density, a commitment to calm streets and a stable community. This conditional use permit disrupts that by channeling traffic from a dense new development through our neighborhood, breaking the promise and protections of our zoning ordinances and the comprehensive plan. More cars will congest our roads, compromising safety and eroding the quiet we depend on. Our neighborhood wasn't designed for this. It's a violation of the rules that safeguard us. When safety falters, the neighborhood's character falls. This open, peaceful nature of this neighborhood fades. Property values drop as buyers turn to areas that still offer the stability we started to lose and stand to lose with this. This isn't growth, it's betrayal. We rely on our ordinances, comprehensive plan, and you for protection, not to be overridden by a permit that doesn't belong. I urge you, uphold the rules we all live by. Don't let the density of this conditional use permit unravel our neighborhood's core. Say no. Keep our safeguards strong. Thank you for your consideration and time.
Anna Bryan, 225 Summit Ridge Road. Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Our neighborhood thrives on its local charm, spacious lots, quiet streets, a distinct feel, protected by R1 zoning, and the comprehensive plan committed to extending existing communities. The town ordinance reinforced this with rules for compatibility and moderately low density. Yet this conditional use permit trades that charm for a national push towards affordable housing, allowing 60 units on a small, thin lots to join and flow through us. That density swamps our streets with traffic, erasing a safety that all enjoy. We're not against development. Growth can serve our town, but bowing to this trend sacrifices our zoning ordinances and comprehensive plan, which prioritize low density to preserve our unique appeal. This cup forces 60 mismatched units into our fabric, bending local standards to fit a generic mold. People move in and stay here for what we've enjoyed for many years, not a cookie cutter solution. Conceding our charm for regional and national pressure isn't progress, it's a loss. We felt unheard at the Planning Commission meetings. Please hear us now. The comprehensive plan and ordinance defend our identity and our street safety, and this proposed higher density development defies their purpose. Please reject the conditional use permit because of the density. Vote no on this conditional use permit as it stands, because once it's approved, we can't undo it. The genie won't go back in the bottle. That rejection might get the developer to reconsider, perhaps proposing a plan with reasonable density and lots that respect our surroundings. Don't let a regional or national trend that will never be fully satisfied override our local vision. Protect the charm of all of our older subdivisions. Please vote no on the conditional use permit. Thank you.
Well, you know, it's an important issue if you got me out of the house this time of night. Good to see you, town council. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name's Jason Simmons. I live on Round Hill Drive, but I grew up on Summit Ridge, 480 Summit Ridge Road for first 16 years of my life. In fact, I took 5 stitches in my chin trying to jump a bicycle off a skateboard ramp at Mrs. Bird's house in her driveway way back in the 80s. And I would ask that you vote no on the development. And I would tell you why. Christiansburg's growing. Montgomery County's growing. But we've got a few areas that are still special, that still were like they were in the 80s and the 70s. You have an opportunity to preserve that with Summit Ridge. There's a swim club up there. I was third generation stockholder of Ridgewood Swim Club that's right off the road. A lot of people go to enjoy that. A lot of people like to walk. It's a great little neighborhood. So please vote no.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I'm Rod Hall from 435 Summit Ridge Road. Pretty sure I'm going to give you a little something different. First, I want to go back to the Planning Commission meeting and just make sure we're confident that you're going to vote our way and not the way that the Planning Commission voted. But if you do decide to allow the Planning Commission to go forward as it was passed, remember to put in a permanent road that is connected to an existing roadway. Permanent road, but connected to an existing road infrastructure. Don't let us wind up getting a stub that doesn't connect to anywhere. Now, we've got a lot of exceptions going on that have been requested. And we're going to show you exactly what one means. It's 35 feet between that wall and this wall. From Mr. Step to Mrs. Step, 35 feet. That is what a front setback is supposed to be in the town of Christiansburg, R1. Right here, this is 20 feet. This is what the developer is asking you to allow, 20 feet. Now this right here, this is the length of my wife's Ford F-150 pickup, 19 feet. Now, would you take 3 steps this way just so I can get around the pickup? Because I want to walk in between the pickup and my house. So, this is the sidewalk. Ford 150 pickup will sit in the sidewalk of this neighborhood. That's what you're voting on tonight. Thank you very much, and I hope you'll vote against the conditional use permit.
Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
All right, hello, my name is Melissa Horning, and I live at 500 Summit Ridge Road. I live at the end of the street, probably one of the most impacted by the new neighborhood development that's coming, since we would be losing the beautiful views that we have enjoyed for many years. Those views were what sold us on our property 10 years ago when we moved in. They've planned 60 lots, and while the lot adjoining my parcel slightly exceeds the R1 zoning minimum of 0.25 acres, its side setback is only 7.5 feet, not much more than an average man's height from my yard. Wow, that just seems a little close for comfort. More than half the lots are under a 1/4 acre minimum with the 60-foot frontages, which you've been hearing. I attended the Planning Commission meeting where we were told smaller lot sizes are the national trend and that this kind of density is needed to build affordable housing efficiently. During the commissioners' deliberation, one of the commissioners said, "So the need for housing in the whole New River Valley is enormous, and the Christiansburg area has done their fair share, that's for sure. Well, it may be enormous, but it doesn't override the standards set in the master plan and the town ordinances. I'm not against new homes or welcoming families to our area. As an elementary teacher, I was also someone looking for affordable homes 10 years ago when we moved here. We were unable to even consider homes in Blacksburg because of their prices. But we did want a yard big enough for our children to play. We wanted not just a tiny lot, but a place where our children could grow, explore, and feel safe. We found that on Summit Ridge, and many others have too. The commissioners and the developer insisted that density is key for affordability. If Christiansburg has already done their fair share for housing in the New River Valley, then why do we need to fit 60 tightly fit units here? Their 7.5 foot setback next to yards just isn't enough for families. If the developer can't meet all the R1 zoning minimums, then this just isn't the right project for our properties. Fewer lots with some space between them could honor the land, the rules, and those of us already living in this older neighborhood. It could give people a place to raise their families, to explore and play, as our children have done on Summit Ridge for many years. In addition, I just want to add that the row of evergreens that was recently proposed as a border is a concern for me living on the edge. Just as the gentleman spoke at the beginning, pine trees are such a nuisance. And I've been cleaning up pine branches for weeks from the recent ice storms. I do have concerns about those coming in and bordering my driveway and possibly causing me more personal damage down the road.
About 30 seconds.
Thank you, that's all I have.
You did good.
I may be the last one, so breathe easy.
Promise is promise.
I saw somebody move over here.
Good evening, Mayor Barber, councilwomen, councilmen. My name is Bruce Jennings, and I live at 365 Summit Ridge Road. I come here tonight to ask you to vote no to this developer's proposal. As so accurately pointed out by my neighbors, my friends, that this proposal, if approved, would violate not one, not two, but it would violate the town codes and comprehensive plan over 200 times. And that's right, 200 times. This is just not right. And don't be fooled by this false narrative that if we don't continue to recklessly build in Christiansburg, that somehow the New River Valley people are going to have no place to vote or no place to live. And that cannot be further from the truth, because Christiansburg will continue to grow, but reasonably, and we will prosper. Now, by your vote tonight, you want to send a bold message to the developers that if they want to continue to do business in Christiansburg, that they will do it within the parameters of the town code and the comprehensive plan. And guess what? The developers aren't going to stop building here. They're going to continue to build here, but under the guise of the guidance from the council. And they will do it within the proposals in the comprehensive plan. Now, this developer needs to return with a proposal that does not violate the town codes. Now, they've got the skill, they've got the knowledge, and they've got the resources to do just that. And challenge them to come back with something that does not violate the town codes. Now, I'll leave you with this thought. Now, we, the people, have given our trust into you to look out for our best interest, not just for the people in these four walls, but for all the good people of Christiansburg. I know you've got a tremendous burden here, being on the town council. You've got people stretching you left and right all the time, asking you to do this and asking you to do that. But by your no vote tonight, this will reinforce to the community that you do have our best interests in mind, and that your personal values will not be compromised by the undue influence of the large contractors, developers, and real estate people in the area. I again ask you to vote no to this proposal and to any future proposals that violate the town code. Thank you for listening.
Hi, sorry, he didn't make a promise, so I'm not really breaking it. Lori Adamo, 505 Summit Ridge Road. I live at the end of Summit Ridge. If any of you have been down there recently, it's the house with all the tree limbs in front of it. My husband and I are in a unique position. This is gonna happen right outside our bedroom window. It's right there. We bought our house in 2019, and I think we're still some of the newest people in our neighborhood. This is a place you go, place you stay. My children come from Roanoke to bring their grandchildren, to bring my grandchildren, and we walk to the park because it's safe and that's where we can play. I've been silent this whole time and watching. I'm one of those YouTube people. I've been watching. And I feel like every time we bring up a concern, it's met with mediocrity. Just enough to check the box. for this developer to come in and do what he's planning to do. This isn't a mediocre neighborhood, and we don't want mediocrity down there. I'm also a school teacher. We couldn't afford to live in Blacksburg. We love Christiansburg. We love our home, and we don't want this coming in. We love our street that washes out when it rains too much, that's crumbling on the sides. I walk all summer. A lot of people are like, oh, you're the one with the ponytail. Yeah, that's me. I'm out there. I see the cracks in the street. It's crumbling on the sides. I was going to work the other day. I was run off the road by a school bus. There was a tractor trailer cab parked on one side. There was a truck with a trailer parked on the other side of the road. He came up over the hill, and I had to swerve off the road. There's not enough room for more traffic on our street. And we don't want to settle for mediocrity. This is not what we are. We're Christiansburg. This is Summit Ridge. And these are the people. So thank you for listening.
Good evening. My name is Bob Bearden. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Really, I just got a word of the day. I think this is appropriate for tonight. And so the word is maladministration. Maladministration is the mismanagement of public resources or functions that might have serious implications for an agency and or community. Maladministration can arise from negligence or incompetence. It does not have to be intentional. Maladministration can include things like misuse of public funds or mismanaging of projects. I just wanted to give you guys that thought for the evening. Thank you.
Hello, John Wilburn, 320 Briarwood Drive. One thing I've not heard addressed in any of this is going to be the water runoff. I know there are 2 obligatory dry ponds in this subdivision that's proposed, but Summit Ridge is up above Briarwood, the interstate is up above Briarwood, and this field, if you actually do a site visit, you'll see that most of this field is up above Briarwood. So regardless of what's built there, there's going to be a lot of water runoff into our cul-de-sac and street. I have a finished basement, all my neighbors do. I've not heard anything about what we're going to do about that. There's a lot of paving, a lot of roofs over there, and I think it'd be imprudent to approve this without considering what the water is going to do. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Waiting worth it. Good evening, Council. Steve Simonis with Balzer and Associates, 80 College Street in Christiansburg. I just want to say thank you all for your time. I know it's we're in number 2 tonight. Planning Commission had 2 long meetings as well. Just a couple of things I wanted to touch on, and I'm happy to answer any questions as you guys deliberate tonight. I mentioned this in Planning Commission. Town staff, a lot of the concerns, all of the concerns outside of the comprehensive plan, which I'll touch on, that the neighbors have brought up, we've tried to address with plan revisions, and town staff has looked at water and sewer concerns, traffic concerns, fire safety concerns, lighting concerns. Those were all in a staff comment letter that they provided to Planning Commission, so I would hope you guys would have those in there. The comprehensive plan is a guiding document. We all know that. Every rezoning that we submit to the town with a conditional use permit has points that we touch on as we go through the comprehensive plan and say how we feel like we meet the guiding principles of that plan. It's not law, it's not code, but it is guidance, just as our neighbors have said. There are guiding documents. Now, with a guiding document, you have different perceptions and different opinions on whether you're meeting those guidelines or not. We feel if you look at that, if you look at the map there on the right with the future land use, you see a lot of yellow. Yellow is residential. It doesn't say single-family residential or townhomes or apartments. That's up to the developers, the consultants, the town, the neighbors, what fits best. And the town of Christiansburg has done an excellent job over these last several years looking at projects and figuring out where they make sense. And maybe to some council members, this one doesn't make sense, but one of our neighbors brought up Reagan's Point. Reagan's Point has smaller lots than what we have here, and it's adjacent to a subdivision very, very similar to Summit Ridge. Reagan's Point actually has a little bit more density by about 1 unit per acre than what we have on this project. So Kensington, some of those early phases of Kensington with small lots. New River Village the Vinnie Avenue patio homes that were approved a few years ago. So the town has looked at ways where we can add new housing types that maybe they don't match exactly what you have next door, but it's meeting a need that the town has. And whether that's the town of Christiansburg, whether it's Montgomery County, whether it's the New River Valley, we do all know and recognize that housing is an issue. And we're providing 60 homes under, right a little over 3.1 units
30 seconds.
per acre. We're not violating any town codes. Town staff will not let us violate a town code, whether this goes through with the CUP or an R1. We have to meet town codes, even if the CUP is approved based on the guidelines we set in here. And finally, we felt that Planning Commission did come to a good compromise with their final decision regarding the conditional use permit, which would allow us to build all 60 homes, but 30 have to be built, and then we'd have to have the
Thank you.
permanent road moved out before the last 30 are put in.
Carrie Bradshaw, 475 Summit Ridge Road. We appreciate all of your time, all of your interest. You have a big responsibility, and we value that and appreciate that. I will just, since Mr. Simonis mentioned the Planning Commission's decision, that's what I'll focus on. Pretty much the bulk of the Planning Commission's discussion was, and their agreement was that it was too dense. 60 houses was too many. This was how the conversation was going. And their recommendation didn't turn out that way, but if you listen to that meeting, the bulk of the meeting was that 60 homes was too many. They were in agreement on that until the recommendation was revised for a second road. And then suddenly, when that conversation took place, it jumped back to 60. So I would like for the town council to recognize that conversation and the way that it took place. And we were just also asking that, of course, that you deny this conditional use permit, but that you also, in your decision-making, factor in the other development that will happen on the side of town that we're talking about. There's other properties that are going to be developed. There's going to be more pressure on Franklin, more pressure on Summit Ridge, and more pressure on the roads that they may plan to put in. And so it's not just this one section. It is multiple acres of land that potentially will be developed. We do sincerely appreciate your time, and we hope that you will consider having the developer come back with a different plan.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I will close the citizens' comments. Committee reports, Mr. Bishop.
Yes, the street committee did have a meeting today, but there's no action going to be needed by council. This meeting was for information purposes. Some of the things we discussed on the meeting was Summit Ridge Road, because we heard the citizens' concerns about the street itself, the sidewalks and the park. So we are going to look into see what can be done, if anything. And sometimes putting a sidewalk down is not as simple as we may think it is, because you got to look at the sewer and everything there. So we are looking at that. Also, it came before us where the fire department requested parking on one side of the street at some locations. Hopefully we get those locations back to the street committee so we can make a decision, yes or no. But this wasn't Summit Ridge, it was throughout the town. Another thing came to us was Majestic Drive. There was concern about speeding, but however, our speed study showed that these do not meet the traffic common policy. So the average speed was like 30 miles per hour on a 25 mile per hour road, so it doesn't meet certain standards for us to take any action at this time. And I forgot what number D was. What? Traffic impact decisions. Can you refresh my memory on that, please? Put you on the spot, but you know that's what you get paid for. Thank you.
Hello, Council. We were talking about the number that trips the threshold for developers or anyone applying for a CUP or rezoning to have to do the traffic impact analysis. So we were seeing if we would like to change that.
All right. And once again, like I said, this was just information for the street committee itself, so no council action is needed at this time. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Hicks?
Can you explain that to me one more time as far as what? Rita, did you just said that we don't require it? Or what was the question that you were talking, what were you saying a minute ago about the traffic study?
We have a certain number that trips the traffic impact
What is that number?
analysis. It's 100 at the peak hour.
And since we're talking about Summer Ridge and he was talking, and I know we're gonna have discussion about that, what was the peak an hour that you guys found on this, and was there a study, a traffic study? Because I don't recall if there was.
They didn't meet that peak hour
They
to
didn't.
require a study.
And do you know why, especially since there was, well, I guess we can talk about that.
Because
in a
60
minute.
units didn't kick in the requirement. Our threshold is actually lower than the VDOT threshold, but basically what they're talking about at the street committee level is looking at potentially lowering that level even further.
Well, you had over 400 and 300 people that could actually use the pool, and I have seen those vehicles going through that road at one specific time, so, yeah, thank you.
And as of right now, that is for the specific development that is applying for the conditional use permit. So rather than just what's there already, as well as the new development, it would be that they only had to do the development for Summit Ridge rather than their proposed development, rather than the entire development. Did I make sense at all?
No.
Okay, so when they apply for a CUP, they only have to do an analysis for what is being developed, not what is already there.
That makes no sense at all.
That's the way it works with VDOT traffic impact analysis as well. There's a difference between a signal warrant analysis for a traffic signal requirement. If you are looking at traffic for a traffic signal analysis, warrant analysis, you do have to look at existing traffic. But for a VDOT traffic impact study and also our traffic impact requirements, basically they don't require that you consider existing traffic. It's only the traffic of the development.
Well, that sounds really bad, especially since you got 18 acres in here, and then there's like another 80 acres that the family actually owns on the back of this, so.
But this wasn't just for Summit Ridge, this is for any neighborhood,
Any,
anything that
yes.
comes. So it's not just for Summit Ridge. I mean, I know also we got focused on Summit Ridge, but this is for anything that comes before town council as far as development.
Yes.
And that requirement kicks in with any subdivision, site plan, rezoning, or CUP. With that traffic volume, those traffic volumes.
All right. Thank you. I don't think we're here to debate that right now.
No.
With the street committee, Retta, thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Ms. Hicks, committee reports?
Nothing to report.
Nothing central business?
Well,
Not yet.
I mean, we're nothing to report yet, but we will be bringing something from Central Business Committee soon, so.
Mr. Jenkins?
Nothing to add.
Ms. Bowman? Thank you. Decision and action by mayor and council. This is where we will be in a decision-making process. And I know the highlight of the night is about the fourth one down into this thing. But I'm going to ask you all, once we make this decision, that you all remain in your seats. No conversations until we get through this agenda. We have 3 more things after yours, 4 more things after yours, and then we're going to take a break. So I would prefer that you not make a mad rush to the door, and if you do, keep your comments outside. Don't, we can hear you all the way through the hallway. So the first item is a request by Harley Ash and Elizabeth Ash to vacate approximately 260 linear feet of a 7.5-foot wide public utility easement on the north side of the property located at 95 Skyline Street Northeast, tax parcel 502-7-15A, Public hearing was held on February 25th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
It's 5-0 and 1. Thank you. Ordinance in regard to a boundary adjustment agreement between County of Montgomery and Town of Christiansburg as requested by RWW4 LLC, property owner to incorporate property on the southern side of I-81, approximately 1.084 acre tax parcel 093-A-6, more particularly shown in the plat entitled Exhibit for Record Showing Boundary Line Adjustment of the tax map number 093-A6 to be relocated from Montgomery County to within the corporate limits of the Town of Christiansburg, Reiner Magisterial District, Montgomery County, Virginia, survey January 7th, 2025, within the Town of Christiansburg. The property is designated as urban expansion in the future land use policy map of the 2025 Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. Public hearing was held February 25th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments, questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Could you say what this is for one more time? I want to make sure I under,
To the boundary.
for the,
It's just, they're taking about 1 acres of land of the county into the town.
okay, thank you. Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
That's 5-0 and 1, thank you. Rezoning request by RWW4 LLC, property owner and applicant to rezone property located at the end of Summit Ridge Road Southwest and adjoining the property south side of I-81, 17.7 acre tax parcel 557-A-22 from Town A Agriculture to R1 Single Family Residential with unincorporated Montgomery County adjoining the property side of I-81, the southern side, tax parcel number 93-A-6, pending above boundary adjustment agreement from Montgomery County A1 Agriculture to R1 Town Single Family Residential. The property is designated as residential on the future land use map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. An urban expansion of the future land use policy map of the 2025 Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. Public hearing was held on February 25th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the rezoning from agriculture to R1. Any comments, discussions?
Yes, so I think it's appropriate to speak about this one, about the rezoning. I'm not against it, because obviously, it's okay for him to come to the town, obviously, and then obviously rezoning to be able to create those houses. But at the same time, I do think it's important to know in here some of the stuff that talks about where the master plan for all developers' land. And you know what, a lot of this information was really good information from a lot of the people here that are in the room, I'm sure, or people in your neighborhood. And I think it's interesting to say that developers, family, and businesses control approximately 7 acres within the town of Christiansburg, just right next to it, to this development and the existing neighborhood, and another 50 to 70 acres in Montgomery County, which he brings back to the traffic study. Because if you're only doing it on the houses coming in, how many houses can you actually build in another 70 acres? And so, one of the things about, if you can skip doing all these traffic studies and all you have to do is build 5 houses at a time, or 60 houses at a time, or 40 houses at a time, you know what, if that requires for the town to replace that code, I am all for it, because that's just not fair to people like them. It will not be fair at all. So, and I think I messed up, but I do have to make a COYA thing that I have to say. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Gotta protect my butt over here. Hold on. You should just tell me what you had to say. Hold on one second. I gotta make, oh yeah, thank. Read, this is where you become very handy. And today's discussion involves the Summit Ridge development, which my husband and I actually own properties on. However, this approval will, or disapproval will affect multiple houses and, different people in the neighborhood. And as consequent, I'm a member of a group of 3 or more individuals who may be affected. Therefore, in this situation, the exception of the Virginia State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112B1 applies. In compliance with that section, I hereby declare that I'm able to participate in this discussion and voting on this topic fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman-
Incidentally, that was 7-0 with the Planning Commission's vote to rezone.
And this is just rezoning.
Just rezoning.
Just rezoning it.
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
That's 5-0 and 1. Conditional use permit request by RWW4 LLC, property owner and applicant for a planned housing development for single-family residential development on property located at the end of Summit Ridge Road Southwest and adjoining the south side of I-81, 17.7 acres, and within an unincorporated Montgomery County, southern side of 81, 1.084 acres. Pending above boundary line adjustment agreement in R1 Single Family Residential District. Property is designated as residential on the future land use map, the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan, 17.7 acres, and an urban expansion of 1.084. Public hearing was held February 25th, 2025, and that was a 4-3 decision by the Planning Commission with a couple of conditions added to it.
I'm going to make a motion, we approve.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second to get on the table.
Okay. Comments and discussions?
Yeah, just for everyone's awareness, we can't discuss it until we make a motion. I would really like to hear council's thoughts about the conditions, about Planning Commission's recommendation for that second entrance, for that phase development. I have some thoughts on it, but I'm curious what else council thinks about Planning Commission's solution to putting that density on just the one street.
All right, I'll go ahead and give you my 2 cents worth so I can get it over with. Basically, I listened to the Planning Commission's meeting, and I got confused a few times, but I finally got caught up with them. And I did the same thing that y'all did. I went out there and measured my truck, all right? And I measured my truck, and going by the, 15 or the 20 feet, my truck would barely fit in my driveway. So that is a concern that I have, is the setbacks and also the distance from neighbor to neighbor. I like my neighbors, but I don't want them sitting on my deck, unless I'm sitting there, So I do have concerns about that, and also with the number of housing and the way that the Planning Commission not putting them down. Once they did agree to reduce it, then they changed their minds midstream. So I do have concerns about the number of housing, the size of the lots. Those are my concerns.
Ms. Hicks?
I have a lot of concerns about this.
Give us a
Actually, I
few.
have,
Just give us a
no, I
few.
have all their concerns, put them together. But one of the things is that this is not by right. Obviously, this is something that they are requesting to make exceptions on. So it's not that we just pass the rezoning, which allows them to build homes. And I do like this graph thing that someone made from someone's email, but it is actually double-checked and they were actually correct. R1 zoning versus Summit Ridge CUP request. The minimum lot size that requires you for a developer CUP request The developers asked for 7,500 square feet. The standard R1 is actually 10,000 square feet, smaller lots, high density. The minimum lot width will be actually, the standard is actually 80 feet. The developer's CUP request is actually 60 feet. The cul-de-sac lot width is actually 80 feet. For them, they're requesting 40 feet, is actually half of that. Front yard setbacks is 35 feet, and they're requesting 20, it's almost like half too. Side yard setbacks is 10 feet, and then they're requesting 7.5 feet. Rear yard setback, 35 feet, and then 15 feet is what they're requesting, which is actually less than half. So I also watched a lot of the meetings and stuff, and I've listened to the citizens here, and I have walked, and just as a disclosure here, I love going to Summit Ridge. It's not on Franklin Street, which we have no way, where I live, there is not a neighborhood. We are literally right there in front of the main road. To try to get out from my house to the main road on Franklin is a mess. You guys have already a mess. I have been in Summit Ridge before trying to get out of there, trying to get to work. In the morning, I cannot imagine, because we do go through Pilot to take two of our children to the bus stop for Auburn. So I know it's already a mess, and the main entrance, this is where my biggest concern is for Summit Ridge. The main entrance to that road is so narrow, and you kind of curve, and then there is, if there is any cars, and the front of that road, it's so hard, like the one lady was saying, that you could have been run over, because I almost been run over there, and that was just through taking my kids there. I love the playground that the town has built over there. You guys have a beautiful neighborhood. So I'm right there with you. I feel your pain, because my kids go over there for Halloween, and they go right in, my daughter's best friend lives in that neighborhood. I mean, they just go running back and forth, running back and forth. And Simones, I am so sorry about this, but I know that you say that the neighborhoods and everything, but as far as like Cambria, they do have sidewalks. There is no sidewalks on Summit Ridge. And so there is just those concerns. There is the concerns about not only that, but you also have Lubna. Why doesn't the developer, look into exiting out of the, I think Roger Woody and his family, they live out of the other side. Why is there not access through all these other roads? Why not?
We can't get there from the topography. Topography won't let us build a town road standard to get there.
Okay, so I don't know what the plans are for the rest of that land to be developed, but it sounds to me like, it feels like if we impose this 60, then what is next? Is another 60, another 20, another 40? By the time you finish the subdivision, you're not gonna have Summit Ridge. And so those are my biggest concerns. It's not that I think Mr. Simones has done a wonderful job in the town, and he's not talking about how, your company is really good in this town and everything that you guys do, but I do think that this neighborhood, I like to preserve a little bit of this neighborhood if I can. So, thank you so much, everybody that has been speaking out. Over 300 signatures for this alone. You guys have done your work. And so I appreciate you guys coming out and speaking, because don't stop today. Keep coming to these meetings. Your voice is important here. So I love that you guys came out. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is, that developer that people keep referring to, Steve, in the room, the one thing to know, that you wouldn't necessarily know about Steve is how much of a community man he actually is. And I think that is very important. This project aside, if you got to know Steve as a community businessman, he also lives in this town. He is also your neighbor. And if you looked at the work that he does outside of his office for the town of Christiansburg, you will see that he does a lot. So this project aside, I just wanted to acknowledge that Steve is also here on behalf of other organizations all the time for his community contributions. And that has a lot of stock as well. So I understand the priority of the conversation we're having tonight, but if you get the chance to know that man as well, you'll find that there's a lot more that he does than just his role as a developer representing Balzer and Associates. So that's important to just remember and keep in mind about your own community members too. Thank you.
That also
Ms.
sounds
Bowman.
very
Ms.
like
Bowman.
political.
Ms. Bowman.
Yeah, I think I'm going to quote Andrew Johnson on this one. Legislation can neither be wise nor just that seeks the welfare of a single interest at the expense and to the injury of many. And I understand that we need housing, but I do think it needs to be done responsibly. And I do feel like, for me, that the people have spoke, and I would like to see some kind of compromise, certainly in the density, the size of the lots. When we looked at those lots with houses on them in the Planning Commission meeting, I looked in on that, and it was very, very dense. And as I ride through neighborhoods, which I am right now because it's election time again, getting ready in Virginia, and going through some of these neighborhoods, I can certainly say that's not the way that I would choose to live. And I do think we have a responsibility to the entire town to build things that we can be proud of. And I am actually, not opposed to building, but I think that it does need to somewhat work into the neighborhood and take into consideration the people that are already there and already paying taxes. So I will not vote on it as it stands right now.
Thank you.
Is there any guidance that council could share with Steve to take back that might be more reasonable? I know Planning Commission bounced around a couple of ideas. I'm
not really sure that's our
I
part to
guess-
do that.
Yeah, I
mean,
understand.
If this passes or doesn't pass, then it goes back to R1 standards.
Right.
Which is, at that point, they have to develop a new plan, is that correct?
But I guess what I'm wondering, is there like a work session that maybe we should think about scheduling? I think the plan is thoughtful. I think it's very thoughtful and carefully crafted. And it does address an affordable housing need that is really critical. And I'm running out of ideas on how to address the affordable housing need. And so I don't know, maybe that's a future work session item. But I appreciate that our developers, because they don't have to bring us single-family housing. They can bring us other plans. Like, I appreciate that they're thinking of single-family developments. I appreciate they're thinking of how to make them affordable. But we're also turning them down. And so I don't know how we can provide some guidance on things that would be more acceptable.
We are really voting for things that are acceptable. So we already gave them the rezoning. And so therefore, they can work with the R1, which is not an exception to the code. It's actually following the code that the town has. And we have rules and we have all these codes that mean something, to me at least, and to all these people that are sitting in front of us. And I think a CUP is there for a reason. A comprehensive plan is there for a reason, to protect them, not only them, but one day we're going to become older too. And we probably want a neighborhood that we feel safe.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
So we're voting to approve it.
The motion on the floor is to approve the conditional use permit.
Councilman Bishop,
No.
Councilwoman Bowman,
No.
Councilwoman Hicks,
No.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Nay.
Councilman Jenkins,
No.
So it is 5-0. So the conditional use permit request
05.
is what?
05.
5-0. So that is, the conditional use permit as presented fails. It is under R1 zoning. The lot sizes would be bigger, whatever. I don't know the densities, but the conditional use permit is denied. Conditional use permit request by Shaw Development LLC property owners an applicant to allow a two-family dwelling on a B3 General Business District on property located on the northwest corner of Roanoke Street and Craig Street, tax parcel 52746-5, consisting of approximately .0319 acres. Property is designated as business, commercial, and future land use map 2013 comprehensive plan, and public hearing was held February 25th, 2025.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins?
Aye.
Very good. Conditional use permit request, that's 5-0. Is it? Conditional use permit request by Rock Step Christiansburg LLC property owner to allow carnival from March 23rd, 2025 through April 8th, 2025 on the property located at 782 New River Road Northwest. That's the mall. The proposed time period includes the setup and operation of the carnival. The property is designated as business commercial on the future land use map, the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. Public hearing was held on February 25th, 2025, and I emailed you all an addition, or it's up on the board now, that Chief Ramsey, I think we have done this in the past, so it's just, would be part of the agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. Did we notify the applicant of the increase in law enforcement?
That's actually a potential decrease.
Oh, am I reading it wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the chief didn't feel they were that necessary early
Okay.
in the day, that you would need 4 there. Just certain times of the day he felt 4 were necessary.
Oh, okay. I'm good with that. Thank you.
So how many did they actually have last year? It was 4, right?
Correct.
Weekends?
Correct. But this, like I say, would allow the chief to use fewer if he doesn't think it's necessary.
All right, thank you. My brain wasn't working right.
Motion, we have a motion and a second. Is that correct? Any
Yes.
other discussion?
Is he here today? No.
No, he was here last week. Oh, is he? A rock step guy? Chris is here, yeah.
Oh, Chris, no.
No, we're talking the rock step guy.
Rock step.
The rock star.
Not Chris, not your chief.
Chris is a rock star, the other guy is rock step. There you go. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins?
Aye.
It's 501, thank you. Montgomery County Emergency Assistance Program, McKeep, request for a street closure of Christmas Street Southwest from West Main Street to First Street Southwest on Saturday, April 26, 2025, from 8 to 6 p.m. for the McKeep 50th anniversary event. The event would be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Motion
Make
to
a
approve?
motion. Second.
Motions and seconds, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins?
Aye.
Thank you, that's 5-0. Kiwanis Club of Christiansburg to request street closures of Main Street between Montague Street Northeast and Hickok Street, Roanoke Street between East Main Street and First Street Southeast, Pepper Street between Hill Street Northeast and the Montgomery County Courthouse Pepper Street Southeast parking lot entrance, Marvin Gerald Circle Northeast in its entirety, Franklin Street between First Street and Commerce Street for the 2025 Wilderness Trail Festival on September 20th, 2025 from 5:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. The event will be 9 to 4 p.m.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussions?
Can I just mention just the FOIA thing? I will just say everything from before, but exceptional on property on East Main Street. And I will not, I will be abstaining for this, not because I don't agree with the Kiwanis. I think they're wonderful, and we are excited to be a participants of this year. However, I feel like if I don't abstain or whatever, it may look just different. But I do appreciate everything that Kiwanis does, and I'm excited to be a part of it this year.
Steve, did Ernie run out on you, or is he back there? I can't see.
Oh, he's there, back there.
Well, I guess the question I have, Ernie, is, you're increasing from down Roanoke Street down to First Street. Now, do you plan on using both sides of the street, and have you asked and contacted all of the merchants involved in these new areas that you're closing?
Well, we contacted them last year, it was okay with, because that was the option we had last year in case pickup was closed, so now they're telling us pickup definitely will be closed. So and we probably will have booths or something on both sides of the street, on Roanoke Street from, Town Hall down to First Street.
Yeah. Okay. I think my preference personally is that you not block, particularly on the right-hand side of Roanoke Street, that you try not to block their sidewalks and their entrances, because there's a couple of businesses that will be open during that time.
Yeah, we've talked to those, and they're looking forward to it, to be more traffic for them.
Okay. All right.
It was really nice last year, and it obviously has been really nice over the years. You guys do a very, very good job.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other comments? I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
There's 4, 0, 1, and 1. Passes. Congratulations, Ernie. Final item is the ambulance purchase agreement between Vest Sales and Service for $367,507 for fiscal year budget 25-26 budget delivery. Billy?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We come before you tonight we've got an opportunity to purchase an ambulance that is ready to go on the assembly line. Same as the fire truck deal that we had a couple of years ago. It takes 3 years to get an ambulance built now. We've come across a deal where we've got an ambulance that's ready to be built that meets our specifications. It would be available for delivery in December of this coming year, which we would budget for it in the upcoming budget. But to get a purchase order cut now to secure that unit, we would request funding in the amount of $367,507 to be allocated right now to be able to write a purchase order, and then we would have to include that money in the upcoming budget.
And the original
If I
price-
said that right.
The original price was,
The original money we had budgeted for the ambulance was $450,000 in the upcoming budget. So we'd be able to reduce that price to $367,000 if we buy this demo unit.
I am.
have a motion, second?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second. Any word?
Second.
Okay. Any comments?
Thank you so much for coming out here and requesting this, Sue. But I have a question for you. I know that a lot of the vehicles and emergency transportation equipment that we use is actually purchased by the county. Were you able to ask for this money from the county, or?
The county,
This has nothing to do
the
with
county bought an
presentation.
ambulance for us last year.
So.
This
the
is an
answer
ambulance that we're
this is
replacing
our-
one of our
This is
ambulances
ours.
this year.
We'll own this one.
Okay,
It's our unit.
okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, sir.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
501. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy. We're going to take about a 2-minute break. We're getting ready to go into staff reports, but if you would like to, you're certainly all welcome to stay and get into the meat of this meeting. But if you'd like to leave, we certainly understand.
I think they're gone.
They're gone.
We gone.
We're gone.
We gone too.
We might go.
Let's go.
Good day. I heard that. I saw you laugh. Oh, it's good soup. That's
Kill that mic,
I just put out a.
Well, I need to turn it off.
Looks like that.
No, not yet.
What I got today.
cameras on. Step it up, please. We're not here to twaddle.
She found this money. Let's see what kind of sheep herder he is.
Good to see you.
Folks, let's go ahead and move on out the door. You can stay, Derek. All righty. Thank you. Staff reports, Town Manager.
Of course, we have a work session potentially scheduled for next week on regular meeting schedule. That would be March 19th at 6:30. Some of the topics that you've mentioned have been the Tourism Main Street program, which I think we finished, the fire and rescue request, which we sent the letter to the county, advertising regulations, and also capital planning. Any other items or anything you would like to have discussed at that meeting next week? Or do you care to have that meeting next week?
I have a conflict, not that it needs to be canceled for me,
Gonna
but
be
I have a
having-
conflict next week.
Heart surgery that day,
Yeah.
so I won't.
We can, I think we can safely go ahead and cancel it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Christine will have an update on audio under the staff, other staff.
You did what? Good.
Don't
So-
skip the town attorney.
We ain't got to you yet. We'll
All
come
right.
back.
Do you,
If Reed would like to go,
Well,
he
yeah,
can
sure.
go first.
WH, all right?
I do. I have one thing to report. Christiansburg Police Department this week, Monday, successfully prosecuted 3 cases for sale of vapes to underage people. So just wanted to let you all know that.
Very good.
Thank you, Rick.
Good job.
We'll keep you from maybe.
All right, Christina, you gonna sit there all day, or you gonna come up and talk to us?
I just wanted to update council on our audio situation. We have made a decision on the best company to go with, and so we are moving forward with that. I'm waiting to hear back on a timeline as far as how long it'll take to get everything implemented. But as soon as I have that, I'll keep council in the know. But we came in under the allotted budget that town council had approved, so that's great news.
Thank you. Mr. Shippey, you got anything? You look like you're getting ready to get up. Okay. Thank you very much. Council reports, Mr. Bishop,
No report.
Ms. Hicks. No report. Ms. Hockett,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Jenkins,
Nothing to report.
and Ms. Bowman.
Nothing, thank you.
Other business.
All right. Then I make a motion to request a closed meeting under Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A7, consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. For the purposes of this subdivision, probable litigation means litigation that has been specifically threatened or on which the public or its legal counsel has a reasonable basis to believe will be commenced by or against a known party. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter. Additionally, the closed meeting is also under Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A8 for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on the matter. The closed meeting is being held for discussion of litigation in regard to collection of delinquent meals taxes, business personal property taxes, penalties, and interest.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk,
Councilman Bishop.
To make comments?
would you like to make a comment?
Yes. I know that you don't think it's a conflict of interest. I think you should make disclosure. And that's just my comment.
Conflict of interest. Who has the conflict of interest?
Tanya?
No one.
Tanya?
I don't think so. We talked about that last week. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins?
Aye.
We will adjourn for about 3 minutes so we can go into closed session.